What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and these are my NFL Showdown plays for the opener between the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. I'll be dropping Showdown videos for every Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night game throughout the NFL season, so stay tuned for that. Before we get started, I think we need to take a look at the slate as a whole. Kansas City, minus 9-point favorites, 54-point total, monster numbers on both sides. Chiefs are huge favorites, and we should expect a ton of offense, and you can see on the screen that bears it out. What you'll see from left to right, player name, salary, projected fantasy points, how often that player is either the top captain option or one of the top 5 flex options for the day, along with our projected ownership at the time that I recorded the video. Now, if we're just talking straight plays, we'll start looking at the captain spot. And first up, Mahomes. You can see 35% of the time came out as the top option in my sim. That outpaces every other person on the slate by a mile. It outpaces everybody, even the second and third guy combined. Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Deshaun Watson, Tyreek Hill, they all have pretty similar odds of being the top scorer and being the best captain. So make sure you pay close attention to the ownership as we get closer to lock so you can try to get a little bit of an edge there. If you're trying to slide down a little bit further, it gets kind of dicey. Only Will Fuller shows up more than 5% of the time. Only Will Fuller shows up more than 1.5% of the time. So I'm kind of liking the idea of having a concentrated captain spot. On the flex side, you kind of know what you're getting here. Mahomes, Watson, Hill, Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Will Fuller, David Johnson, all showing up as a top flex option north of 40% of the time. Sammy Watkins showing up there about 28% of the time. Harrison Butker showing up there about 21% of the time. What this is showing is that we're expecting a lot of fantasy points coming from the Chiefs side and potentially a lot coming from the Texans side if they try to keep up. Now, without further ado, here are my favorite captain and flex plays for tonight's slate. All right, my top 2 captains are the 2 quarterbacks, the 2 most expensive plays on the slate. But in my opinion, they're the 2 most under-owned plays at captain. Mahomes projected for 20% ownership. I think he should be in that spot about 35% of the time. Watson, 8.5% owned. I think he gets there about 13% of the time. Those are both the 2 biggest leverage spots that I can see from the captain spot. One way or the other, I think there's going to be a ton of offense, and I'm going to need one of these guys. Watson looking like a little sneakier since he's about half the ownership of Mahomes, but Mahomes being a guy that I see, I have him projected for 39.4 fantasy points. That's almost 10 points more than Watson. It's so many points that he's hard to avoid. I'm expecting a full shootout. We'll touch on the flex guys in a second, but guys like Hill and Kelce, Edwards-Helaire, Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins, Hardman. There is going to be so much volume going around that I can't avoid these quarterbacks. I understand that the price tags are monstrous from the captain spot, but it doesn't seem to matter to me based on my sims. I want to be able to grab these guys in more places because I think there's enough value at flex that you can afford it. Now, if you are paying up at captain for Mahomes or Watson, you're going to need to save a little money. I can't just easily recommend taking Mahomes again and Watson again and Hill and Kelce. That stuff's obvious, and most of the ownership is already there. Don't get me wrong. Watson, Hill, Kelce, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are being under-owned at the flex spot, so that's something to keep in mind. But if you need to save a little bit more salary, I'm looking at Fuller, Johnson, and Hardman as my first 3 guys. Fuller, 8K, 14.5 point fantasy point projection. He finishes as a top 5 flex play about 44% of the time, only owned 26% of the time. That is an excellent leverage spot in my opinion. Similar story for David Johnson, slightly more ownership, similar projection, slightly cheaper salary, similar odds of finishing as a top 5 play at the flex spot. So those are the 2 guys that stand out above. Hardman at 5,200, a little bit more of a flyer, 15% owned right now. I think he's a top flex play about 18% of the time. That's still enough love for me, given someone like Duke Johnson, $400 cheaper, getting more ownership. I think he gets there like 1/4 as often as Hardman. So I'm betting a little bit more on Hardman there. Other guys that I'm trying to slightly avoid at the flex spot, Fairbarn, over-owned. Chiefs D, over-owned. Darrell Williams, very over-owned. Darrell Williams at 1,800 is very popular, 20% owned, because people are trying to make this work. I don't think he is going to be as valuable as the public. He only showed up as a top 5 flex play 4% of the time for me. That's 1/5 the amount of times as the public is showing. That is my biggest fade. Obviously, it's not a huge fade for someone that's 1,800, but I'm trying to avoid the public ownership on that spot. Similar for Jordan Akins and for the Texans D. Those are 2 spots I just don't want to be. That'll do it, guys. Those are my NFL Showdown plays for the Texans-Chiefs game. Once again, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of the other content goes live. Let me know in the comments section, who's your favorite captain? Who's your favorite flex play? Again, I'll be dropping these Showdown videos probably the day before each game. So look out on Saturday for the Showdown video for the Sunday night games. Best of luck tonight. Welcome back, NFL. I'll see you guys on Saturday.